Are you okay to dance? This is the name of the event that Qasem Foundation, which is a charity group that helps to provide for the kids in Iran, especially in the parts of Iran where they may suffer financially and some of them have to work at young age, at primary school age. And Qasem Foundation provides for them. They have organized this Are You Okay event for people to come. The name of the event is called Are You Okay to Dance? For people to come and dance, and all the funds raised by that will be spent on a good cause. So all you need to do, even though it's a free event, please you need to book from here, and so they would know how many people are coming. It is this coming Saturday night on the 10th of September. And as we are in the Are You OK couple of months in Australia, which is a couple of months to raise awareness about being okay, about being happy, in particular being emotionally happy. We are all born for the betterment of the world, to make the world a better place, but also to be happy, both at a personal level and at the whole society. We want the good for the whole humanity. And there are some very important points that Dr. Arash Zamanian from Los Angeles will cover in this show. And even though it's a 20 minutes interview, I recommend all of you to please watch it until the end, because it can be for your good, or it can be for the good of a friend who may be struggling, that when you ask them, are you okay, this may be part of their betterment, their healing. And of course, the other parts are seeking help from a competent health professional. In emotional cases, they need support of a close friend, close friends and family, um, psychologists, psychiatrists. Both of them must go hand in hand and together. It can't be one or the other. And of course, a competent pharmacist to review their treatment process. And also, the other important part about it is that friends and relatives being kind to the patient, asking them, are you okay, being of emotional support to them. As Abdul Baha said, this may be even more important than the remedy. And also the patient themselves doing something for the society will help their healing process as well. Like you see in this quotation, be not a master of your mood, be not a slave of your mood, but the master of the mood, which is attached to this clip. Yeah, I totally agree. And one question I asked you, and I think this is a big question for a lot of people, is to do with the stigma. And in the Persian interview, I asked you this as well. And now I want to ask in English for our English-speaking viewers. So if someone is suffering from a mental illness and they have been diagnosed by, say, their GP or psychologist or psychiatrist, is it appropriate for them to keep it between themselves and their doctor? Or is it appropriate for them to tell some close friends and close family members, such as siblings and parents, or their wives or kids? Or is it better if they just tell everyone that I don't care about this stigma, and yeah, I'm just open about it and I'm public about it? So what is the boundary when it comes to the privacy of such conditions?
Yeah, in the world of medicine, the number one priority is confidentiality.
Sure.
So basically everything is between you, your doctor, your insurance company, and any subpoenas from court. So basically it's confidentiality. What you say has to do with you. Now, number two, we always say if it affects the prognosis, the progress of the illness, making things better or worse.
Sure.
That's where the limit would stay. And another thing, in conditions that in psychiatry would be psychosis, severe anxiety in particular, or any other ones. Or in medicine, we talk about diabetes, seizures, things that can be very devastating if somebody's not aware around you.
Yeah.
Then we leave it up to you to let the people that really care about But you have to understand that people have mouths, and mouths are often unlimited. It's limitless.
Exactly.
There's no limit on it. It can come after, it can bite you in the back later, and exactly. People use it against you, and we call you names, bully you with it,
Yeah.
So a combination of all, confidentiality. Is it helping your diagnosis? Is it helping your treatment? Is it helping the course of your wellness?
Sure.
and the people that you tell, do
Sure.
they care about this? And it's going to be your number one responsibility to educate them about the condition,
Sure.
for them to know how important it is. You know,
Sure.
in America, for the past 6 months, it's been a thing that, if somebody tells you something, you take it more serious than imagine. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
so if somebody tells you I can't breathe, I'm going to
Yes.
assume that they cannot breathe.
Mm.
I'm
Sure.
not going to say, oh, he probably needs to get some fresh air. That's not. There's no,
Yeah.
So if I were to just simplify, because sometimes I confuse people, and I'm always confused myself, anyways. So if I were to simplify it, I would say, educate your loved ones about it, and then inform them about your own condition.
Sure.
So this way, yes.
Yeah. So you said it can like positively affect the prognosis and the treatment of the condition if your loved ones know and are of emotional support to you. But like we talked about in the Persian interview, and like you just mentioned now, your friend can be your friend today, can be your enemy tomorrow.
Yes.
And I personally believe that all of us, like I believe in God, and I know you do as well, all of us, we have ourselves as a friend, God, and our parents if they are alive, and that's it.
Yes.
And anyone else has only limited sacrifice with you. In Persian, we say they might become halfway friend at some stage of
Yes.
the game.
They become halfway friend, and you know what? It is you're a young handsome fella. So I'm older, so I can give you that advice too. Uh, in today's world, those halfway friends are more frequent than they
Sure.
used to be. So you got to be careful. I mean, I have a psychologist friend that speaks sometimes, and he said one thing. He said something very beautiful. He goes, if you go into a house of 10 people at a party, and you're
Yeah.
supposed to be there for 10 hours, for 1 hour, you have 6 minutes each to
Sure.
speak.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And once you reach that 6 minutes, you better just be quiet and keep your mouth closed.
Sure.
Okay. Because after that 6 minutes, whatever you say can hurt you more than it can help you.
Yeah.
so, so,
Yeah.
so,
It
yes,
happens. Yes.
and yes, and it goes with illnesses, with secrets, with personal statements, anything you say. So back to the condition, which is more important. Let's say somebody has a condition of anxiety. You know, they get into a large crowd, they get overwhelmed. I would tell my wife, I would urge my female friends to tell our husbands, that watch out for me. When I get into a house with like 50 people dancing, all of a sudden I get overwhelmed. I need to get out, get some fresh air. That's about it. I mean, telling your friends is not only useless,
Yeah.
it can come back and bite you in the back. Like, they point you out, say like, oh, she's crazy.
Mhm.
I mean, or label you with any name calling.
Sure.
So use your discretion when you go public with privacy.
Yes, 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 and yeah, like the other thing that, uh, like we were talking in Persian in the interview, we said not everyone has the capacity to understand these things, and like you
Yes.
said, we have to explain to either if it's a close, like best friend or a family member, mostly like of course your parents, if especially if they are educated, obviously they can understand more. But the thing is, with such conditions, so we mentioned in the Persian interview that in Persian, like they call these spiritual problems, they
Yes.
say spiritual, whereas
They specifically say spiritual. You're very correct.
yeah, spiritual, yeah. So my personal belief, and this goes back to like what I believe and also what my religion believes, is that your soul and your heart, which I believe heart is the side that reflects God, has got nothing to do with the level of the happiness of your brain, because brain is part of our physical organ, like you said in Persian interview, is no
Yes.
different to any other brain organs, any other body organs, and any malfunctions in the neurotransmitters such as dopamine, serotonin,
Yes.
noradrenaline, which in America you call it norepinephrine. So all of these can just affect our happiness, but that doesn't mean that the person is a bad person or they have got like a problem with their soul or they are not kind or something like that.
Yes. I want to talk about, I stand a medical doctor. That's about it. I mean, I don't go into beliefs of, ethical beliefs, or I don't go into religious beliefs, because all you got to do those is have a lot of respect, because it could
Yeah.
hurt a lot of people's feelings. Aside from that, your brain, yes, it regulates, it produces, and it stabilizes all of the neurotransmitters, of which are serotonins, different kinds, dopamine, multiple kinds, catecholamines, which include the norepinephrines and the epinephrines, and more. There's more.
Yes.
They control the physical work of your body as well.
Sure.
They control the physical. For example, if somebody's like super anxious, they might end up with diarrhea.
Mm.
Some people, when they're severely depressed, I mean, there's a big correlation between depression and heart attacks. And which has significantly and specifically to do with serotonin level. There's a big correlation between anxiety and GI system being overworked. A lot of people, when they get anxious, I mean, they just come out with all these GI disturbance. We have anxiety of the GI, or which is correlated with anxiety, and they call it irritable bowel syndrome.
Yeah.
So irritable bowel syndrome, specifically with people with OCD, with anxiety, they get overwhelmed. So your brain basically controls the rest of your body. There is no person with the cut of connection that can have a good heartbeat.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, and just I'm sure you and I know what that is, but just explain for the viewers, the GI is the gastrointestinal tract.
Gastrointestinal, yes.
Yeah,
Everything that has to do with your stomach.
Yeah. So they call it in scientific terms a tube. So it's like a tube that goes from the mouth, all the way to the esophagus and all the way to the rectum.
Everything that has to do with putting something in your mouth and your stomach.
Yeah. And they actually made them. There are only 9 machines like that in the world that they have actually like mimicked the gastrointestinal system. This big machine, I'm sure you've seen one in a museum. And there is only one in the southern hemisphere that is always in one place, and they don't move it from one museum to the other. And that's the one in the Mona Museum in Tasmania. So the story of that museum is very interesting.
And now that we talk about and now that we talk about the digestive system, the most common ischemia, which is blocking of arteries, that can cause a heart attack, basically in the heart. It can cause a stroke in the brain. The most common ischemia of the arteries is not in the heart or the brain; is in the mesenteric arteries, which is around the intestines. So
wow.
that's very much affected in anxiety. So yes, the brain controls everything, and any interruption or disruption in the signals from the brain can be devastating to multiple organs in the body. The dopamine receptors, for example. The dopamine receptors, that overactivation of them can have a lot to do with schizophrenia. And decrease of their activation can have a lot to do with Parkinson's.
Due to the stigma. And in some cases, as I'm sure you are aware, and I showed this photo in the Persian interview as well, that when the level of the neurotransmitters in the brain is that much, has changed by that much, it cannot just be changed by talking. You need like medications to adjust the neurotransmitter function in the brain. So how would you advise those people? Like you said, obviously privacy is a big thing that can help to avoid stigma, but how would you encourage them to get help?
Somebody beat me to this statement. Somebody said this more than 2,000 years ago. Aristotle the Great, which was just a student of the school of Plato, said this years ago, thousands of years ago, that the first step towards a good treatment is a good diagnosis. And to get to that, you have to see a professional. And if you see the quality of life in other people's doings and daily chores, it can easily be yours. All you got to do is just extend a hand, and it's only an asking hand. So basically, to say in simple terminology is, the help is right behind your door, even knocking on your door. If you just let it in, and you will see. Give it a try. Psychiatry or psychology or behavioral science or neurology has never hurt anybody. Because right at what you are unpleased with it, you could stop it, But one thing that you could do is give it a try. Exactly. Give it a try and see what a quality of life is waiting for you.